Okay, so I've decided to try to add a little color to these little videos, so just bear with me. Um, it's hard for me to talk about trauma or NLP without talking about each other because my head's all wrapped up in how to use NLP for complex trauma. So I can't separate them out, really. But here's what I've got done so far, and then I want to show you some cool NLP art at the end of this video. That's my intention anyway. So this is kind of my main, I condensed all my best notes about complex trauma, basically like the symptoms, and a list of the key developmental arrests or delays. And then it goes on from there. Oops, sorry. Hold on. So that's kind of like my main notes to describe complex trauma and referencing, where's the trauma book? For more information, see here, or any of these, it's kind of like all the best thoughts and tips from all this stuff. And then I literally last night, I went through this pile and this pile, mainly this pile, and I came up with all the notes for my presentation. Oh my god, look how much stuff. But at least I went from this whole pile down to, here's my notes, okay? And then here's like the symptoms. So the main thing I want to say about PTSD and trauma, or complex PTSD, also in this category can be complicated grief or complex grief, is I see the difference between the diagnosis, what we see in behavior and what we experience on the inside, and treatment. Okay, so the diagnosis is based on memory. An event happened, but the diagnosis is based on the memory, whether it's blocked out or remembered, but it's some memory in the brain. And then the symptoms, which are usually avoiding something about the memory or flashbacks and reliving something about the memory. So the whole diagnosis is based on these memories and avoiding them, and anxiety and other things, but basically about the flashbacks and avoiding memories and reliving them and so forth. Now, the behavior, what we see in people with PTSD, complex PTSD. So I'm not going to say I'm an expert in PTSD like for war or famine and natural disasters or like a murder in the family or something. I'm kind of more talking about the complex trauma of child abuse over long periods of time in childhood. So as adults, we're seeing trauma and PTSD. Anyway, I forget where I was going with that. But anyway, on the outside, outwardly, I don't know if you can read this or if this is not good. Let me read it for you while you look at my pretty picture. Alright, so on the outside we see them in irritable outbursts, irritable moods, tearful outbursts, snapping at people, or, like lacking engagement, not connecting, losing interest in life, not trusting. But now on the inside, for the person who has it, on the inside, they're feeling disconnected. They're feeling different. They're feeling like their whole meaning about life is gone. They're feeling lost, hopeless. They've lost interest. They've lost hope. They lost a sense of belonging. They lost a sense of meaning. And they struggle with guilt and grief and hurt and abandonment and pain, and maybe not even so much fears and depression, but kind of just a lack of feeling anything. So it can be kind of like shock and being kind of shell-shocked and stunned, but just all this is going on all the time in their heads. So this inner turmoil going on. But we see them as irritable or not engaging, okay? And the diagnosis is based on memory and reliving flashbacks. So I want people to keep in mind what's going on the inside of the person. Focus on that and give that validation and comfort. And they already feel guilty as it is for being irritable. What they need is acceptance and to learn that you can use revenge fantasies to help process that irritableness. We can't use our PTSD anger to bully other people or be mean. We'll end up feeling so much guilty later anyway, and then we'll beat ourselves up for that. It's better to, hit pillows and exercise and do art and stuff and have revenge fantasies or redemption fantasies. And then when you get some of that out of your system, create a happy ending. Just make it up in your mind. It doesn't matter. The brain has neural networks that need to also see the positive. So that's the main thing. So my main point is don't get caught up in the first two of the diagnosis and the behavior we see. Get caught up in the third one, the treatment. The treatment is learning things like EFT tapping to help soothe the body, self-soothe, emotional, regulate emotions, or learn body work like somatic mindfulness, trauma release. Qigong and yoga are really good with that too. And increase your wellness and try to increase support in your life. All that will help heal because it's going on the body level, the mind level, and the spirit or the heart level, the emotional level. Okay, so that's the main point. The symptoms I'll get into later. But at last, let's look at the 9 human needs. Basically, a lot of depression is kept stuck because people aren't getting their basic human needs met. So let's look at some other NLP art while I read off the basic human needs, because no matter where anyone is in their recovery or their trauma, just educating them on their needs and how they can get their needs met is going to help. Alright, so we got somatic therapy over there. So anyway, I've been doing this NLP art, taking yoga poses and coloring them, taking some inner guided mindfulness stuff I do, and then drawing what I saw in my inner mind and sending it out into the universe matrix there, right? And then even my wellness, my daily wellness, I put into some kind of art that I can put on the wall and remind myself I'm trying to do NLP every day, yoga every day, and so forth, okay? And I've got some other little things in here, but go ahead and look at some of these cool yoga poses because they're really easy to do, and most of them are just standing. Okay, so basic human needs: the need to feel understood and connected, the need to give and receive attention, taking into account your needs of your body-mind, so your body-mind connections, which is exercise, nutrition, sleep. Okay, all that has an effect on your moods and your thinking as well. Having a sense of control, something you can control, is a human need. The need for creativity and stimulation. The need for purpose and goals, which can be quite hard to get back to. A lot of work goes in with NLP later in the healing to reactivate and reawaken goals and dreams. And people with trauma have lost their goals and dreams. But a goal could be, I'm going to do yoga for 5 minutes. A goal could be, I'm going to get to 1 support group this month. So at least you need to make decisions and set goals for the brain to really work properly. But also, the last need is a sense of connection to something bigger than oneself. And this could be a group and a principle. It can be anything. So we won't I kind of purposely stay out of the whole spiritual realm because I believe that's a personal decision and everyone has their own personal take on what their spirituality is. But if you had no spirituality or were an atheist, for example, there won't be anything I'm talking about that's going to push any of your buttons there. So something bigger than yourself could be a community group, a volunteer work, anything. Could be support group. Anything that helps take the focus off just yourself and your pain is a sense of connection, okay? So those are the human needs. That is going to help in the treatment of PTSD, and we'll talk about some more things probably in the next video.